Panthers! We are finally on the last chapter of Secret Explorers and the Lost Whales. Chapter 8 is titled Heading Home. The farther south they went, the colder the waters became. Connor knew they must be well on their way to Antarctica. After the Beagle had guided the pod of whales south for a while, all at once they suddenly began to swim much faster. A new, excited mood seemed to have come over them. They swam right past the Beagle and kept going. "What's happening? Are the whales okay?" asked Roshni. "They're fine, I think," Connor replied. "They must recognize where they are. They're back on their migration route." One by one, the whales overtook them. Last of all came the mother whale and the calf they'd rescued, who was swimming right beside her. The mother whale broke away from the others and began swimming up to the surface. Roshni and Connor traded glances. Without saying a word, Connor guided the Beagle after her. He kept the sub a safe distance away. They reached the surface first and looked out over the glittering dark waters. "What's she doing?" Roshni asked. "Just watch," Connor whispered. The whale launched herself out of the water. Time seemed to slow down as her enormous body rose, turned, and fell. She came crashing down onto her back, sending foam and water up in a massive burst. The Beagle rocked around crazily. Moments later, the little calf flung itself out of the water, copying what its mother had done. It made a much smaller splash, but Connor and Roshni still clapped and cheered. There's the whales. One by one, the other whales rose too. They blew jets of spray from their blowholes and dived back down again. "I think they're saying goodbye," Roshni said. Connor nodded. "Goodbye," he called out to them. "I'll never forget this." The last of the whales vanished below the surface. The flukes that flared out at the end of its huge tail flicked for a moment like a vast waving hand. Then it was gone. "They'll be okay from here on out, right?" Roshni asked. "More than okay," Connor replied. "They'll find their way to Antarctica just fine. They don't need our help anymore." With a soft ping, the start button on the Beagle's dashboard lit up. Now it read, "Home." Connor and Roshni breathed a sigh of relief. "Mission accomplished," Roshni said. "Let's go." Connor pushed the button. The Beagle shuddered and trembled as if it were going through a car wash. The engines behind them gave a deafening roar. Suddenly, like they were being shot from a massive rubber band, the Beagle rushed forward at mind-boggling speed. They were whizzing through a tunnel of dazzling white light. Around them, the Beagle's cockpit began to change. The dashboard sank back into the floor. The glass bubble slid backward and vanished. The padded seats deflated like an airbed, and all the compartments and equipment folded away like a magic trick. And 4 rather wobbly-looking wheels appeared on the corners. Once more, the Beagle was nothing but a shabby old go-kart with a lot of secrets. The white light faded away. The Beagle was standing on its platform in the middle of the exploration station. Feeling a little dizzy, Connor and Roshni climbed out of the seats. All the other secret explorers jumped up from their computer chairs and came sprinting over. They gathered excitedly around Connor and Roshni. "That was amazing," Cheng said. "All those undersea rock formations and the different kinds of seaweed," Leah said. "What was it like when the whale breached?" asked Gustavo. "You guys did an amazing job," Ollie said. "I'm so glad the whales are safe." Connor and Roshni sat on the big padded sofas, had some cold drinks, and talked all about their mission. All the secret explorers agreed that it had been a spectacular success. "Hey, Kiki," Connor said, "did you think you could fix the damage to the Beagle? Whoever takes it out on the next mission is going to need that navigation module." "No problem," Kiki grinned. "The Beagle is always getting into scrapes. I'll patch it up." Leah went and opened the display cabinets. Did you bring anything back for the collection?" Connor took a thumb drive out of his pocket. He'd copied the whale song recording onto it earlier. "You're going to want to listen to this." He played the sound file through the exploration station speakers. When the secret explorers heard the strange sounds echoing around the room, their faces filled with awe. No one said a word. They all looked up at the domed ceiling where the map of the night sky was and listened to the unearthly music of the whales. Afterward, Connor put the thumb drive in the display case between a piece of black volcanic glass that Chang had collected and a bonsai tree that Leah had brought home from Japan. It was time to go home. "Bye, Roshni," Connor said. "Bye, everyone. See you on the next mission." Everyone waved and called out their goodbyes. Connor headed over to the glowing door he'd come in by and stepped back through it. There they all are, listening to the whale song. A raging wind whipped through his hair and ruffled his clothes. White light roared up around him and faded away just as quickly. Seconds later, he found himself standing in his kitchen. He glanced back over his shoulder. The pantry was just a pantry. There were cereal boxes, cans of beans, a bag of potatoes. Nothing at all out of the ordinary. Nothing to show that anything exciting had ever happened here. Connor could almost believe that he'd dreamed the whole adventure, but he knew he hadn't. No time at all had passed back here at home, but he'd been gone for several hours, and now he was hungry. He reached up and took a granola bar from the shelf and headed outside to eat it. He crouched down beside the pond, unwrapped the bar, and took a bite. Down in the pond, the toad tadpoles were peacefully swimming in their shoals. They looked like they were enjoying the clear water. Connor grinned to see them. Swimming together like that, they reminded him of the pod of whales. He'd keep on looking out for the tadpoles, just as he had for the pod. And though he couldn't just scoop the red tide out of the ocean as easily as he'd scoop the green algae out of his own little pond, he could still do his part to help keep the oceans clean. Connor loved being a secret explorer. This mission had been one of the best yet, and he couldn't wait to go on the next one. The end. All right, you guys, I really enjoyed reading this book to you. And remember, we have it in the library along with all the other adventures of the Secret Explorers.